Okay. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Echo, and I am asexual. And that's a weird thing to say. I'm never gonna be used to saying that. I'm never, ever gonna be used to saying that. I have written and rewritten what I wanted to say in this video about 8 times over the course of about 2 years. And now that I'm looking at what I wrote, it just doesn't feel right. I think I just need to talk. First of all, if you're not familiar with the term asexual, it essentially means that I don't necessarily feel sexual attraction to anyone. If you are the kind of person who can only handle one label at a time, then take that. Walk away with it, accept that one label, know that about me, I would like none of the things, please. However, if you actually do want to understand the nuance and can handle multiple labels being self-applied to one individual, then feel free to continue watching and I will do my best to explain. So before we start, I want to talk a little bit about labels and also offer a little bit of a disclaimer. These definitions are based on my personal understanding of these words and labels, and I, like everyone else, am constantly learning and trying to get a better understanding of all of this. Not only of myself, but also the language that is used to describe everything that is going on in my brain. That being said, at this point in time, I currently have 3 labels that I feel the most connected to: gray, asexual, and pansexual. Asexual in general is an umbrella term, so it kind of means a lot of things to a lot of different people. A gray asexual is a person who falls under the asexual umbrella who experiences some sexual attraction sometimes, but not necessarily enough to feel comfortable claiming a label like straight, gay, or bi. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. First of all, if you're already in the asexual community, or possibly just the LGBT community in general, there's a slight chance you already knew this about me. Because of this. A black ring on the right middle finger is generally considered an indicator of asexuality. Sometimes I also like to include pansexual in that just as an identification of gendered attraction, because I feel like usually my personal attraction isn't necessarily targeted at any specific gender. If you don't know what pansexual means, pansexual just means that gender doesn't really matter to a person. However, it's not really something that happens a lot, so I don't exactly have the biggest sample size. But Echo, how can you be asexual if you're attracted to anyone at all, even a little bit? Like I said, if you can't handle multiple labels, just take that and go. Because if there's any label that outweighs all the other ones, it's that one. Also, in a preemptive measure to evade any of those annoying people who claim that I have some kind of hormone problem, stop pretending to be a doctor. You're not a doctor. And even if you are one, you're not my doctor. And secondly, I actually have had my hormones tested by a medical professional. As far as medical science is concerned, I'm completely normal. So don't be that guy in the comments, please. It's really sad when people try to equate your sexuality to a medical disorder. It'd be like finding out your best friend doesn't like your favorite food and then telling them that they need to have their taste buds tested, because there's just no way that they couldn't absolutely love this. That's what it feels like. Analogy time. That's my analogy theme song. I thought of an analogy that might help some of you allos out there better sympathize with what it's like to be an asexual person in a culture that values sexual attraction in the way that our society does. Imagine you lived in a world where people were obsessed with doorknobs, and when you're walking down the street, you just see doorknobs on billboards next to unrelated products, and when you're scrolling through the internet, you just pass tons of pictures of doorknobs, people sharing doorknobs and trading doorknobs and giving advice on how to get the best doorknobs for your collection, and drawing fan art of their favorite characters with doorknobs, and writing stories about doorknobs. Or movies will have like a big doorknob scene, and it's all that anyone ever seems to talk about, and different people will have different preferences in doorknobs, and it's weird. But it's fine. In fact, most of the time you forget that doorknobs play such a big role in modern society, until you find yourself sitting around with a friend and suddenly they start talking about this new app that lets you hook up with other people in your area and show each other your doorknob collections. Or you're at a social gathering and all of a sudden everyone starts making doorknob jokes that you understand, but that you don't really get and you remember. They're normal. And you don't hate doorknobs, you're not against them in any way, and you understand how they can be really useful. You might even have a small collection of them yourself. Not because you're particularly interested in them, not because you really care about them, but just because that's what's considered normal. And when you try to tell your friend that the thought of throwing away your entire collection tomorrow and never owning another one doesn't bother you at all, because they just kind of take up space, they act like something must be wrong with you. Sometimes you just look at your collection and think, why? And the fact that you just don't get it makes you feel so broken. And that's what it's like to live in a heteronormative, allonormative society. Granted, that analogy can get even more complex when you take into consideration sex-positive, sex-repulsed, and sex-indifferent asexuals. Someone who is sex-repulsed is exactly what it sounds like. It's a person who does not want anything to do with sexual interactions at all. Personally, I fall under the sex-indifferent category, which essentially just means that I don't think about it. It is not a part of my brain. I tell people all the time, it's just not my thing. That's the best explanation I can give you at this time. Do you think that asexuals are part of the LGBTQ+ community? Yes. Absolutely yes. Asexuals have to deal with the same amount of erasure as a lot of other sexualities. A society where if you're single, it's because you're looking. And if you're not straight, you still want sex, but from someone else. It's important that asexuality is treated like part of the LGBTQ+ community because we have to stand together if we want any of this to change. But to be honest, it's kind of hard to feel like part of the LGBTQ+ community when you are just as much not lesbian, gay, or bi as you are not straight. It kind of feels like leaving the tennis club to join the baseball club when you really don't care about sports. In terms of romantic attraction, I don't know. I don't know if I ever want to be in a relationship. I like companionship. I like having people close to me. I feel like it would be nice, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if I didn't. Although if I ever do end up in a relationship, I would like to go on record as saying to my future partner, I am so sorry if my sexuality causes people to question your sexuality, because that is a thing that can and does happen. Why did I make this video? Why am I explicitly stating this and putting myself in a position to be targeted and misunderstood when I could just as easily get away with wearing an ace ring and living my life in general obscurity? Representation is important, and YouTube is doing really stupid things with the LGBTQ+ community right now, and I need to be here. I need to be here to stand up with my people. I need to be another person getting videos demonetized. I need to be here, and I need to stand up for what's right. And also because this is a really big part of my life, and it's something that I've wanted to make videos about for a really long time, and it's something that I want people to know about me, because it goes on in my head all the time. Like, I think about it all the time, and I live a very different life and a very different experience because of it. If you have any questions about asexuality or any of this stuff in general, please put it in the comment section and I will be answering as many of them as I can. I'm probably going to be making more videos about this in the future because there's so much to talk about now. I'm going to give you 1,000 awesome points for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you guys later. Bye! If you're asexual, I recommend watching BoJack Horseman. It has the best asexual representation I've ever seen in my life. I cried 3 times. No cartoon has ever done.